What's going on, YouTube? Mr. Football Coach here today, and today we're going to be talking more 4-2-5 split field coverages. Today we're going to be talking more about trips adjustments. We're going to look at one trips adjustments that I kind of like, and we're going to kind of talk about how it can be multiple in that, if you're facing, a lot of trips, you need to have multiple ways to play against trips. You need to be able to change it up. So teams aren't able to expose you. So today we're going to be talking about a coverage in split field terminology. I'm kind of basing it off of kind of what everybody else calls it. You can really call the stuff whatever you want, but there's a lot of core principles of what everybody kind of does. Well, in a lot of trips checks that people have built in, you essentially either have a special coverage to handle trips, whether it may be isolating a certain receiver. And so we'll say in trips, if we had just a basic, a roll coverage where we're going to roll our coverage over to that side, but we may want to also use in our split field, we may want to use a more of a man concept in the same way. And so one of those man concepts I like out of split field coverage is special. Some people call it star, where you're isolating a star receiver. He may be lined up as the number one receiver, the 2, or the 3. And it's kind of flexible in that if you have wherever that guy lines up, and if he's a threat to, break one and score on you, you may want to use this coverage. And what it essentially becomes is you can put your best coverage guy on him and just isolate him and say, all right, you're playing man, and that's who you got. So when we start with just the base alignment, what we've drawn up here is just a trips to the field check. So we set our strength to the field. In this situation, we also set our strength basically set up to defend trips. And so just how I have it drawn up here, we basically put our corners locked up on man. Like we'll go ahead and say they're man on 1, okay? And you can do whatever you want on the back side. Like, you could have another check over here since we're split field, we can have a different check over here. But we'll just go ahead and say, just for how we teach this, we're going to say he's also man on number 1 as well. All right, so they're locked up here, corner's locked up here. All right, and like number 1 right here on this side, all right, he's their star player, okay? He's going to break it on us, so we're going to put our best coverage guy on him. Now, one way that we make this easy is if we're a quarters team and we're basing mostly on quarters, this is a good adjustment to have when you play trips, or if you're a quarters team, you can play around with this. And what we normally do, well, in quarters, the free safety and and our strong safety are going to be reading, the release of number 2. Well, when we have star coverage or we have special coverage in here, we're going to go ahead and rename our players. So now, even though this is number 1 in what most people call in the game, and here on purple, the slot, he's normally number 2. Okay, we're actually going to call him. We're going to actually say that in the count here, that we're going to just totally take away number 1, the real number 1 drawn up on the picture. He's completely out of it. All right, so we're just not even going to consider him. He's out. So we're going to still play quarters, but we're going to make the number 3 now the new number 2. Okay, and so our free safety and our strong safety are going to be reading the release of number 2. And essentially, they're just playing quarters there. All right, so like if these guys run, let's just draw up a route concept here. We'll say, okay, so they're going to read the release of number 2. Let's just say that, let's say that our new number 2 here in green, let's say that he runs a drag over the middle, okay, something short, hitting at linebacker level. They're going to, if it's not within 5 to 7 yards, whatever that mark is that we're going to say that he's going to declare vertical and it now becomes man at that point, we'll go ahead and say that he'll go ahead and take him across. Even though we've got, our linebackers in here. We'll talk about the linebackers here in just a second because they're going to have their own adjustment here. And then you say, our new number one releases vertical, where the free safety should be able to stay over the top of him. Okay, if they do any type of switching, all right. Let's say that let's say they, let's start with something easy, like let's just like do a wheel. All right, so let's do that. Let's say that maybe they are going to run some kind of cross concept, okay, where they're just going to cross, try to make us run into each other like most offensive guys try to do. So we'll say that our number one breaks here. If he breaks inside, we can go ahead and have the free safety jump him. Now it becomes a harder case where if this guy's a stud as well, would he chase that? It kind of becomes kind of hairy at that point. But essentially, like, you're just still playing your quarters coverage right down here with your free safety and your strong safety. Okay, so really we're just trying to isolate, number one. Where this gets into, some different things is like, well, let's take a look at the backside. Okay, we still have everything set up as normal. And one thing that we can do, let's just say that, where we're weak defensively in this coverage is directly in the middle. Okay, just based off alignment. If they're near the far hash and they've got the whole field to work for, I mean, this is open. Okay, that's open all day. And so what are teams going to want to try to do? Well, they're going to try to throw, a post to the middle. They're going to throw verts. They're going to do something. So like if they're going to run a verts concept, let's say this guy's trying to get to his landmark and this number two right here. Okay, like we drew up a second ago. Okay. If they're getting somebody's got to give a push call here, and free safety has to take that new number one, because I mean he's kind of playing that role. But what gets troublesome here, just based on alignment, okay, number three is going to be open across the middle. Okay, that's open all day. But what we have here is our bandit player, our other weak side safety. Okay. He's kind of just playing a hang technique. He's just kind of hanging back here. The corner down here, he's already locked up, so he's man on his number one receiver down there. But this guy can kind of help back here, where they can kind of rally to that. Now, we're not necessarily saying that guy has number three, this green over here, this number three, or our new number two. He doesn't have him, but like, he doesn't really have any pass coverage responsibility other than just kind of hanging out there and kind of assisting. He's kind of like a free safety, just kind of sitting back there waiting. Okay, so if they're getting a push call, and for our strong safety that plays in our defense, that guy, who is essentially our he's a safety, but he's more like a linebacker safety hybrid. So like, the bandit player for us is more of a coverage guy, a guy that should probably be a safety, but maybe isn't fast enough for us, and so he's kind of down there as the force defender. But that's a really hard. You're asking a lot out of your basically your strong side safety. Okay, I mean, that's a lot. So that adjustment, and you can play this however you need to. Whatever is going to give your team the most trouble. You can have this guy back here, this bandit. You can have him really do a multitude of things to defend whatever you guys are going to have to defend. Now, what if you're on your backside? What if they're just trying to isolate? Okay, what if they're trying to isolate their number one receiver away from everybody else, and they're just trying to throw the ball deep to him? All right, I mean, this guy, let's just say, he's 6'5" and is going to be playing at Alabama one day. I mean, they're going to try to isolate that guy, and most coaches are going to want to try to play their best guy on him, or even try to double team him. Well, like if this guy over here on the boundary side, if he's their stud, we'll go ahead and draw a star beside him. Okay, he's their star, so we have a special coverage for that star receiver. So it's where kind of the name special and star comes from. A lot of the concepts are pretty much the same for what people talk about. But, if this guy's going to be, running something deep, trying to get open past our corner, Okay, we can have our bandit player, help over top. Okay, because if our corner gets beat, if he gets beat in any way in man, I mean, it's going to spell trouble. All right, and so he's got to have help over the top. So in special coverage, your a wayside safety, whatever you call that player, he's essentially having to do two jobs, and it puts a lot of stress on this guy. But like if you're trying to stop a star receiver, then that's probably what you need to have installed there. You do probably need to be a quarters team if you're going to do this, just because it has a lot of quarters concepts built into it. But kind of in the same way. All right, let's say that if they're putting this guy out on the number one, and he's putting him in the number one spot out there at the X receiver, and we shut him down. Well, they have an adjustment to move this guy in as the number three. Well, sorry about that. One thing that we can do, let's say that this guy's the star, okay? Well, we can actually do some things with this. We might want to sub in a different player to cover this guy, okay? Let's say that he's the stud receiver. We might just put an extra corner in here to cover that guy, lock him up man-to-man, and just say, okay, this guy's gone. He's out of the picture. We're not going to, that guy, our guy that we're going to sub in, make him the, you can utilize your personnel that way. If you've got enough personnel to do that, that's very beneficial in that way. So we can take that guy, we can just plug somebody else in there that's going to cover him, get him out of there. And then essentially, if you're a quarters team, then just, play your regular quarters, okay, your two read, palms, whatever you call it. Okay, go ahead and play that and just take away the number, just, your number two doesn't change there. And then whatever else you want to do on the backside, you can do as well. Okay, whether you do, whether you do like a cover two on the backside or a man on the backside, whatever you do, that's kind of up to you. And so special really just kind of becomes a way to defend against, star receivers that are going to, hurt you in this way. And trips, since it's a unbalanced formation, you've really got to have enough players to cover that. Let's talk about the linebackers. Now within this, I feel pretty good, within just our run fits, within using this coverage, because I really feel like your run fits, your front that you use, and the run fits that you're using have to match your coverage on the back side. And so in this term, like the only thing that I really feel that is, we're going to have 9 players that fit into the run on all downs. It's just kind of what we do. Our free safety is our alley player. Our shark and bandit players or our force defenders, even though like normally we play the bandit up within 5 yards off the end man, in your two high coverages and your split fields, he kind of has to be a guy that, if an outside run, hits this way, I mean, he's the force defender. I mean, he's got to come up. We're not going to ask our corner to be the force defender in most cases, okay? But within the linebackers and their coverage responsibilities, okay, we kind of just play, just a man concept here. If our tailback releases that way, since the bandit is already responsible in coverage for kind of just being the free safety, we'll have our will go ahead and take that, and then our Mike can kind of just low hole. I even think you could probably send a blitz if you wanted to. You're just one more off in coverage, but at the same time, I don't like blitzing in split field coverage. I think, the reason we have split field coverage in a lot of ways is to defend the pass. So, the more guys you can get in coverage, the better, because you can put more guys in coverage than they can actually throw to. So for the quarterback, it's just finding a window. What's weak? And I think it's important to establish in every coverage that you have is what is the weakest part of the coverage. I think right now, based on alignment, and the way that I drew this up may not be accurate to, what's going to actually be out there on game day. But I really don't like my free safety getting outside the hash. Now he's about a +1 outside the hash, and that's okay, for defending this, because, if he is, too far inside and we're sitting there trying to play, two read or our quarters coverage on this green receiver, our new number 2 in special, okay? I mean, outside is open, okay? I mean, that's going to be open all day. So, based on alignment, you want to make sure that you're not getting out too far. If those guys split out so far, you need to make other adjustments to that. I like playing zone a lot. So that's kind of like one of the things you can do as well. Like this isn't a an end all situation, because ultimately you start getting into a last man with the chalk kind of deal, in these kind of coverages. But it gives you another way to play trips, and I think and just kind of some philosophies I've heard. You've got to have them, a couple ways to play trips. This is one of them. We'll talk more about them in a later time. I hope that gave you a little understanding on special coverage and isolating a number one. Talking about some trips adjustments that you can make in your split field coverages. There are many more. We can talk about it at a later time. If you got any video ideas for me to do, I'm always looking for new ideas to draw up stuff. I've kind of been talking some split field coverage here lately, so it's just kind of fun to talk about. It's what I enjoy talking about sometimes. So anyway, that's going to be it for now. Be sure to check me out on Instagram. We do have a private Discord page. Looking to expand the Discord a little bit, add some, if you guys are into that kind of stuff. Discord's kind of a gaming thing anyway. I wouldn't imagine that many coaches actually know what Discord is, but we do have a private forum on there, just for subscription squad guys that, are subscribed to my channel. So you're always welcome to jump in there. Like I said, DM me on Instagram if you got any more questions. And obviously, if you want to leave a comment on this video, make sure to just leave a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, and just be checking back for future updates. We release videos every Tuesday and Thursday for the foreseeable future, and maybe some other videos mixed in there as well. Doing a lot of football here lately, since we're kind of isolated in from coronavirus, so that's kind of where I'm at right now as far as doing that. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, this Chalk Talk. We will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. Mr. Football out.